You know, there was a time a couple of years ago when everyone seemed to know at least someone with an Honor smartphone in their pockets. But then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. However, Honor eventually went independent and has since come back with a new smartphone, but more importantly, one with Google Mobile Services on it. Meet the Honor 50. Okay, so technically the Honor 50 has been out in China since like June, but it's recently launched in Malaysia and we're the first country to get it outside of China. This also means that we're the first to see the return of an Honor smartphone with Google Mobile Services on it. Overall, it's a upper mid-range device, but the first thing I really noticed about it is that it's a really sweet looking smartphone. I mean, just look at the subtle emerald green colorway, the almost British racing green giving it that tasteful tone, and oh wow, it even shimmers in the light. For real though, it's a pretty sleek and sexy looking device, which is unfortunately marred by that pretty ugly camera bump on the rear. Other than that though, the side edges of the display are tightly curved and meets the curves of the back glass very nicely. And the top and bottom of the Honor 50 has this sleek flat finish to them as well. Holding it in my hand though at 175 grams, it's not too heavy, but it really does scream premium, and this is one of the few times where I've really preferred to just go naked with it and ditch the plastic casing that came in the box. It is, however, quite the fingerprint magnet. But let's also quickly address the elephant in the room. No, not me, but that the Honor 50 looks quite a bit like the Huawei P50 Pro that launched in China a while back. And if you're still not convinced of the Huawei connection, then take a look at the Huawei Nova 9. As it even has the identical camera bump layout. Honor may be independent now, but I guess you can still tell where its roots are. Moving on to performance, well, as I alluded to earlier, the Honor 50 is still just an upper mid-range device. That being said, the Snapdragon 778G is still a pretty capable piece of silicon, and I was able to handle social media, YouTube, Netflix and the like perfectly fine. I may be a PC Master Race member first and foremost, but I still do play games on the go. And the Honor 50 will do a solid job. I played a fair bit of MTGA and Pokemon Unite, with the latter running at a solid 60 FPS even at max settings. I will say though that after a while of gaming, you will feel the heat through the device. Maybe lower your brightness and settings or use your hands and heat sinks if needed. Nevertheless, I didn't notice any major performance dips in the game, even after like 30 minutes of gaming. The real big thing with the Honor 50 though is that there's Google Mobile Services, which means the return of the Play Store and Google Apps to an Honor smartphone. However, I'm not a fan of the Magic UI skin that the Honor 50 comes with. It's just not as sleek as the hardware itself, and I'd recommend getting yourself another launcher. Now, I personally use the Microsoft launcher because it's simple to use and pleasing on the eyes, but the great thing about Android though is that there's just so many customization options, so if you prefer a different launcher, go for it. But there are some things that even a better launcher won't be able to fix. For instance, there's no multi-window option here, which is something that I used almost every day before this. Then there's also just me not really finding the gesture system that intuitive, especially compared to MIUI. Specifically, I prefer the way MIUI lets you switch between apps, compared to the Magic UI's flick motion. Battery-wise, the 4300 mAh battery is a little underwhelming for 2021 standards, but I was still able to get through a full day of use with it without too much of an issue. We're talking about 6 hours of screen time for mostly social media, messages, and a little YouTube and TikTok at slightly below half brightness before hitting 20%. It also did seem like there was a fair bit of battery optimization going on here, as there were a number of times where I would get a notification telling me about an app or two in the background that was heavy on battery usage. The included 66-watt Honor supercharged power brick though is fairly impressive, getting me about 2/3 of juice in around 20 minutes. Where I felt the Honor 50 shines though is its screen. The 6.57-inch Full HD curved OLED display is really good for when you just want to watch content on it. You're getting a really vibrant and bright display with solid viewing angles that were still comfortable to the eye. Unfortunately though, Honor have paired that really good display to a single bottom firing mono speaker. This could have been a really good smartphone for content consumption, but ultimately that mono speaker just isn't very loud, nor is it very good.
Looking at the on-paper specs, there is a clear winner here. You see, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro features a respectable Snapdragon 732 processor with up to 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of UFS 2.2 internal storage.
And it's not like you can plug in some wired headphones too, as there's no 3.5mm audio jack. I guess it's kinda nice for Honor to include a pair of USB-C wired earbuds in the box, but again, you'll have to lower your expectations here if you're a huge audiophile. Now maybe I was expecting a bit too much of the Honor 50 here, but I did find the cameras just a bit underwhelming. The main camera will get you fairly solid images for social media, but it won't be challenging the likes of the iPhone anytime soon. Images aren't very sharp and can end up noisy too. Selfies, meanwhile, also lack sharpness, and the default beauty mode just didn't help things at all. I guess the one kinda cool feature here is the multi-video function, which lets me shoot videos with both the front and the main rear camera at the same time. Now, I'm not a huge camera guy, so maybe the novelty is lost on me, but if you've specifically been looking for this, then hey, here you go. But I guess the bigger question now is it worth going back to Honor? Well, let's first take a look at the price. For 1,699 ringgit, you're getting 6 gigs of RAM and 125 gigs of storage. Meanwhile, for 1,999 ringgit, you get up to 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that's not very cheap for the specs, well, you'd be right. There are more value-oriented options out there, but if you like the Honor 50's specs and you want to save some money, the most obvious choice here would be the Mi 11 Lite 5G NE. Launched fairly recently, it has the same Snapdragon 778G processor underneath, and it's much cheaper than the Honor 50, starting at just 1,199 ringgit and going up to 1,599 ringgit. If you were already ready to spend around 2 grand though, there are better options around in terms of performance. The Xiaomi 11T Pro with the Snapdragon 888 processor, 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage is priced at just 2,099 ringgit. You'll also be getting a bigger 6.67-inch AMOLED screen, a bigger 5,000 mAh battery, and an insane 120-watt Xiaomi Hypercharge power brick. Okay, so it's clear that the Honor 50 won't be winning bang for buck awards anytime soon, but what it does have going for it is its looks. I'd argue that the Honor 50 simply looks so much more premium than the Xiaomi devices out there right now. Would I get it though? Well, no, I probably wouldn't, but that's because for me, it's what's on the inside that counts. However, if you're someone who cares about the design and aesthetics of your devices, the Honor 50 could be right up your alley. Overall though, it's a fairly solid return to form for the Chinese brand and could be a sign of bigger things to come. Okay, well, that's it for the Honor 50 review. My name's Raymond. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you disliked the video, let us know why in the comments below. And please subscribe for more videos from us here at Soya Chin Chow.
Bye, Raymond.
Bye.